Hey, it's Matt from Simplified SharePoint. We're going to create a calculated column in SharePoint today. So first of all, before we go any further, I want to bring up this link. I'm going to put this in the video notes on YouTube and hopefully on the site as well. But basically, this tells you what a calculated column lets you do. Um, there are four different types of formulas you can put in. And there's conditional formulas, which is, in a nutshell, if column 1, which is 15,000, is greater than column 2, which is 9,000. This formula will return a result of yes or no. So if column 1 is greater than column 2, you'll get a yes. If, for instance, these values were switched and we use the same formula, you'd get a no. So that's the conditional formula. Date and time, you can do calculations based on dates. So here we have 6/9/2007, column 2 is 3. You can add column 1 and column 2. You can add a number to a date, and this will give you a result of 6/12/2007. The other is a mathematical formula, which is column 1 plus column 2 plus column 3. You can do a sum. You can do a sum if. There's a lot of stuff. Feel free to browse through this page and see how it helps you. The other is text formulas, so you can do operations on text, like change everything to uppercase, change it to lowercase, or proper case. You can combine strings and do a bunch of cool stuff here. So this is a very helpful link, and this basically outlines what you can do with those columns. But for now, let's get back into the nitty gritty. So I have a price list here of different items that Biff's Consulting might sell. We have the cost, which is what it costs Biff's agency, and then the margin that Biff marks up the products. So what we really want to do is have a calculated column that'll give us the sale price of an item based on the cost and the margin. So we'll go to our list settings and create a calculated column. Now what you'll notice here, I'm going to put in my price list or item sale price, and we'll choose calculated column. And you see it's a calculation based on other columns. So what you'll do is you'll notice this formula box appears. Now what you really want to do is use a little bit of math knowledge here. First we want to do the cost of an item. You can double click the column name or click on add to formula, it'll drop it over in there. So you'll want to do cost times the margin. So we'll put an asterisk and the margin column, and we'll close that off because we want that operation performed first. Then we'll go ahead and add that figure to our cost. And then once you've got your formula down here, you've got the data returned from this formula is, if I did a single line of text, it would return a text value. Well, in this case, it would return a number, but it would then convert that to text. If we did a number, which is what we're going to do here, you can choose the decimal places. We'll do 2. You can do currency, which is actually what we want to do. So we'll do currency with 2 decimal places. You can do date and time or yes or no, and that fits into these values and these sort of functions you can do with it. So we've got our formula, we've got our return type, we'll click OK, and we should see, once we go back to our price list, we'll see that now we have a sale price column that does the calculation for us. So let's say we wanted to change the margin to something a little bit more reasonable. Let's say 18%, I think is a good markup. Once it commits that, you'll see our sale price is now $177. And I actually can't go in and modify this, and that's because it's not a user-defined field. It's based off of an operation. So we can go down and change all of these out to, let's say, 5%. You can even, let's do something cool. Let's do a negative 5%. And we'll actually see that now a negative percentage would actually, we'd be selling it for below cost. So that's what a calculated column lets you do with a mathematical operation. So the other example I'm going to show you, which is the easiest to do, is a date and time calculation, and that's listed out here. We're basically going to do a quick little operation on it. So we'll do list settings, create a column, and we'll call this days out. So let me give you a breakdown of this list. What it is an issue list that basically says, here's our deadline. We have a deadline of a certain date, and we have library books. They have a deadline of a certain date. And we're going to try to calculate how many days we have until the deadline based on the item's created date. So all we're going to do for this formula is deadline minus created. And created is a site column that is a date field. So we can do an operation on those two together. Now, the return data type is important here because in this case, we want to know how many days, not an exact date. So we're going to change this to number, and we'll do 0 decimal places. And we'll hit OK, and we should see on our list that we have 18 days until the 5th and 11 days until the 29th. So pretty simple. We can even do another column based off of this number. So let's just do that. Let's just play around a little bit. You can probably close the video if that's all you need to know, but I'm just going to play around for a minute here. We can actually have it compute the created date again. To the original created date, and we'll do deadline minus days out, and we'll have it return a date and time field. And now you'll see on the issues list that the created date was the 17th. So pretty cool stuff. I'll link this document from Microsoft in the video links, and you can just search for calculated column SharePoint in Google or Bing or whatever your favorite search engine is, and that'll get you this page. And you can play around and maybe add, see how you can use this column to your advantage in SharePoint.